All right, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 3 Stickity Stacks in this thing, baby, representing TKOG. And today I'm going to be showcasing you guys my first place undefeated Shaddoll deck profile. It is Shaddoll INVOKED Dogmatika, but Shaddolls are always the main focus when I build this deck. This actually was once upon a time a pure Shaddoll deck profile, so there's a lot of remnant traces of that you can see that I really like the Shaddoll cards. I value them a lot. I think they offer more utility than other decks can give outside of maybe the only other tier 1 deck I could think of that has like that kind of utility is like Sky Strikers. And not everybody even considers that tier 1, but no one will ever argue to say Shaddoll INVOKED Dogmatika is not tier 1. So I just feel like the deck is just really, really good. And my list might be controversial to people because my card choices are my own. Like, I'm the type of Yu-Gi-Oh player that actually does think for myself, and thinking for yourself sometimes just turns into thinking outside the box, because a lot of the people that play decks like these, they make decisions predicated on what other people play. And there's nothing wrong with that, because if something works, you don't have to broke it. I mean, you don't have to fix it if it ain't broke. So, like, if you see a list that got first place and you play that list, you don't have to change anything. You could play it card for card and you still might do extremely well. So, I'm not saying it, like, in the sense where, like, you're not going to perform better if you're not going to perform well if you don't make your own choices. But I'm only saying that for my own self, because when you see my list, there's a lot of stuff that Shaddoll players just aren't doing right now that I'm doing. And it gives me better interactions against a lot of cards that normally actually just destroy people when they're playing INVOKED Dogmatika Shaddoll. Like, it just destroys this deck. But like the way I built it, I always build my decks to supplement and circumvent for the weaknesses that it can have. And interactions that can literally just be a turn ending, whether it's turn ending, a detriment, or it can literally just set me turns behind. I just feel like those kind of things are just something that you should keep in mind. Like, when you know your deck can struggle with Imperial Order, Anti-Spell, and Artifact Scythe, things of that nature, I just feel like you should build your deck to be able to beat those with the main deck. And that's why I just, like, stand on my card choices, and I will never change them. I will never let somebody convince me that playing more Shaddolls is a brick, and you have to play only 2 Shaddoll monsters and only Fusion, and you don't play L because it's bad. No, bad players say that, okay? Bad players say that those cards are bad, because the truth of the matter is, it really is, there's not really like a bad deck or bad cards. It's always bad players. And normally bad players are saying stuff like that about cards that really are good. Like, I remember there was a point in time where people were playing Shaddoll INVOKED, and nobody was saying playing 10 Shaddoll monsters is bad, or 7 Shaddoll monsters is bad, or L Shaddoll Fusion sucks. People actually understood and respected it. And sure, Shaddolls have adapted and evolved, and that's another thing I love about this deck is it adapts to almost every format. It can thrive in any kind of, I feel like, environment. Like, it's just super flexible, and the diversity when it comes to building it, and it's interchangeable amongst formats. Shaddolls is in a place where it's evolved so much that people feel that they don't need to play those Shaddoll cards. So understand me when I say, like, my deck is different from other people, not only because I think for myself, but also because my card choices come purely out of experiences that I've had. So you might not have the same experiences as me. You might have never ran into anti-spell frequently. Like, I run into those cards frequently. You might not run into, like, Retaliating Sea or Dimensional Barrier or Artifact Scythe. You might not be running into those cards. So you might not have the same problems that I have. So your deck might be built different because those things never come up for you. But for me, if it comes up even once and I can lose off of it, and I know it's like a generic card that any deck can play, I have to do something about it. And so, yeah, I know it sounds like rambling, but it's really not. There's always a method behind what you could consider madness when it comes to watching my channel and my content. Oh yeah, and make sure that if you are watching this, please subscribe. And if you do subscribe, click the notification bell. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a dislike if you didn't. You're welcome to express yourself in any way you want on my channel. It doesn't matter if you like something or didn't like something. You can express that. Nobody's going to stop you. And in addition to that, if you would like to support my channel, I highly recommend joining the Discord, which is absolutely free, and subscribing is free. But also, you can join my Patreon. There's a $3, a $10, and a $15 tier. The tier 2 is right in between, and that's the one where you can get mentorship, tutoring sessions from me, and I can really help you to grow as a player and be better. That's something that I offer as a service to subs if you are interested. But yeah, let's get started. So I took Shaddolls today. I went undefeated. I got first place. I 2-0'd every single person I played. My first round was Sword Soul 2-0. It wasn't even a challenge, literally. And the board that I broke game 2, because game 1 I went first, I opened the nuts. I have that video. I opened double Winda access, Macabre, Punishment, and the Fleur de Lis, the Knighted. So I had what? Punishment, Schism, El Shaddoll Fusion, Fleur de Lis, Macabre. I had like 6 interruptions with crazy follow-up. He didn't even want to crack through my board. He didn't even give it a chance, because I was just like sitting there like, I mean, even if you open Chalice and Droplets for both my Windas, I still have Punishment, Fleur de Lis, and if you Droplet, you're going to have to hit my Macabre and my Winda, and then that's 3 cards out of your hand. You Chalice my second Winda, you're playing with 2 cards versus Punishment, Fleur de Lis. There's just no way. So he scooped. Game 2, he wombo comboed, and he went into Baron, Chi-Shao, and Destroy Phoenix Enforcer with a set Forbidden Chalice. I curb stomped him. Shaddolls are just broken. Like, this deck literally just breaks board. And I've said this in my other deck profiles for my Shaddolls. Like, I be telling you guys, like, this deck literally is just so good at breaking boards, it doesn't even make sense. Like, this deck feels so empowering because you are doing it the way that decks really wish they could. You're not hand trapping any cards your opponent activates. You're not even playing Dark Ruler. Like, sometimes I Droplet, but almost every time I break a board, it's literally just pure engine. I'm just using Invoked, Dogmatika, and Shaddoll cards, and I'm just clearing fields, picking them apart, neutralizing threats, and then setting up a board that doesn't even let my opponent play, and I'm taking their follow-ups away with cards like Ariel. It's just crazy. I 2-0'd Sword Souls, then I played against Drytron, I 2-0'd Drytron. This deck has a crazy Drytron matchup. I don't care what anybody says, no one can change my mind. Shaddolls arguably have the best Drytron matchup. As a tier 1 deck versus another tier 1 deck, this deck can go second, break the Drytron board, go first, Drytron literally can't play. Ariel, Winda, just broken. Like, just Ariel and Winda just destroy that deck. And for those of you guys who think that, oh, Shaddolls can only break the Drytron board if they draw Super Poly or Droplets, you're wrong. See, I don't know if this has came up for you guys, but have you ever been in a situation playing my list, for example, where you go Power Spell, negate, Meltdown, negate, activate Shaddoll Fusion, negate, discard Eva for cost. Oh, you discard Eva? Chain El Shaddoll Fusion. Okay, that's fine. Summon Ob Cologne. Okay, separate chain, Eva banish for cost. Affect Ob Cologne, all my Shaddolls in the graveyard. Separate chain, bada boom, bada bing. Permanently negate the Herald. Effect. It's just crazy. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's actually insane, you guys. And if any of those netted you an extra card, you can literally just go Ob Cologne and then add back the Shaddoll Fusion. It's just ridiculous. The fact that I just feel like the fact that you can just chain L, because it'll even happen where they just literally have Eva in hand plus 1 fairy. So you'll literally just go activate Power Spell, they chain, and then you go activate Power Spell, they chain, discard Eva, you chain El Shaddoll Fusion. You can literally, it's crazy. Like, the fact that you can do it with just pure engine, it's just insane. El Shaddoll Fusion, just being a quick play, allows you to break that board even better. As long as you play like my list, where you play the bad cards, the Shaddoll cards that people think are just so horrible. Like, you can do crazy stuff like that, where you literally have a Shaddoll Fusion that's negated, you chain L, you summon a card like Construct or Ob Cologne, you dismantle the Herald, you can even pressure Herald with Construct, just attack, try to destroy him with her effect. He has to chain to negate, then her graveyard effect activates, he has to chain to negate that too. So you can just literally, it's crazy. And at the end of the day, even if you don't break the board, if you can chain block an Ariel and banish their Drytron follow-ups, it means they're sitting on Herald with, it doesn't matter how many fairies, they're not playing next turn because there's no Drytrons in their grave to play. So this deck's just crazy. I 2-0'd Drytrons, I 2-0'd Despias, and I 2-0'd Phantom Knights. I just bodied everybody. The only non-meta deck I played was Despia, and that was the longest game that I had. That game 1 was like 24 minutes. Game 2 was pretty fast, but that was the longest match I had, was against Despia. Everybody else just got destroyed, bro. Ain't even gonna lie. So the list is really nice. This list is also better than my last one, because what I'm always doing with my Shaddolls is I'm always evolving the deck. I'm constantly adapting and changing my list based on scenarios, like I said, the experiences that I have. And also, when I see the meta shift, you know, I can change my list. And that's what I like about this deck, is you'll see the same Tri-Brigade list with the same cards every time, but like, Shaddolls lists can all look so different from each other and get the same results. And I look at this as a Shaddoll deck, if you guys didn't know, because this is my pure Shaddoll deck, and I just took the Invoked and Dogmatika cards and replaced my Fright for Patchworks and stuff like that with those cards, and it just made my Shaddolls just insane. So for starter cards, we have 3 Prosperity, and I'm so sorry for you, those of you who just literally just want to see a list and are so aggravated by the fact that I talk so much before I even got to the list. But if you're here for a list, I feel like, what are you even doing here? You know, because there's plenty of lists out there. You know, what sets deck profiles apart is the information, the interactions. Whatever depth and magnitude they go into, that's what's going to make it more of a deck profile. Because the truth of the matter is, if you don't want to hear anyone's card choices explanations, then you might as well just have them send you a screenshot. Just send me a screenshot. I don't even have to sit through the video. I just want to see the list. Then you don't need to watch a deck profile. You just need a deck screenshot. That's it. You know what I mean? That's just how I feel. But yeah, 3 Prosperity, 3 Meltdowns. Meltdown has some of the most broken interactions in this deck. Like, when I have my summon window, I use that window of opportunity to do whatever I want because my opponent can't activate anything. So, I chain. If I have quick plays, I chain them. This is how, like, in the Striker matchup, you can really dominate with Meltdown because you can chain cards like Cosmic Cyclone to hit one of their back rows, or any chainable, you know, anything that can just neutralize a threat. You can just do that and your opponent won't be able to respond. Sometimes you can even literally just activate cards like Shaddoll Incarnation so that you can avoid Ghost Spell because it's in the window of opportunity for Meltdown summoning protection. Chain Punishment. You can chain anything you want as long as it's quick effect and your opponent can't do anything. So this card's just broke. Like, this card's just very crazy. If you're playing Phoenix Enforcer, you know, you can literally just go Fusion Destiny, summon him, activate his effect on summon, and your opponent can't respond. So Meltdown's cracked. 1 Optimus Prime, 1 set rotation. These are still starter cards. And then we have 3 Nadirs. Nadir's just absolutely broken. I just can't see myself not playing the Dogmatika cards. And Invoked is just... It's the best normal summon you can have for Shaddolls. It gives you a light attribute and a fusion spell, 2 of the cards that you need. And the other thing with playing Invoked is it allows you to just bait cards like Ash a lot better so that Shaddoll Fusion can resolve. And going second, like, all the cards that are good going first in this deck are crazy going second because they're all cards that your opponent must negate. Otherwise, you're just going to break their board. And it's just that simple. So I just feel like this deck's crazy. I literally just break, like, fully established boards. I break Drytron boards, Sword boards. I break Phantom Knight boards. The fact that I love this interaction. I just love chaining El Shaddoll Fusion to Artifact Scythe. Like, it's just crazy. Like, people flip Imperial Order, Anti-Spell, Artifact Scythe, Dimensional Barrier, Retaliating Sea in the Beat Trooper matchup. People are targeting your cards with Fog Blade. I love my list. I think El Shaddoll Fusion is just broken. Like, this is just me. And nobody else plays it, and that's what sets my list apart. And I feel like that's why I also do so good in my mirror matches lately. Because I to this day, I am like the reigning undefeated champion of Shaddoll mirror matches. I'm like the only person that I personally know that has never lost a Shaddoll mirror match since the deck came out. Bruh. I'm talking about every version. Like, it's crazy. But anyways, let me shut up because I sound like I'm trying to gas myself up. But I'm just speaking facts. Like, this is just the truth. 3 Alistair, 3 Ecclesia. So I've been on 3 Ecclesia for a minute now. I just feel like the deck just needs more starters. Like, my old lists used to not play Prosperity, and they used to only play 1 Ecclesia. And it got to a point where my starters were basically anyway to Alistair, and then a Nadir Servant, and then El Shaddoll Fusion, or Shaddoll Fusion. And I just felt like I just didn't have enough. Like, the deck was good then, but I think my list is better now. It's a lot more consistent. It navigates through established boards a lot better. Like, you guys would be surprised that this deck can break the Bird Up board with pure engine. I just think Meltdown's insane. Like, it's just broken. It really is. Like, Meltdown's just insane. Like, that bird will be at 2,000, and you have, like, Meltdown up. You just Shaddoll Fusion, Op Cologne, permanently negate stuff. Like, whatever you want to permanently negate whatever you want to, as long as it can be targeted. Just smack that bird. It's crazy. Honestly, this deck is just crazy. Like, more often than not, I smack the bird. I attack the Samorg, because when the Samorg goes, I can, like, target their cards, and that makes it easier to just clear it with cards like Invoked Dogmatika and, you know, Elder Intis with my Nadir Servants, things of that nature. This deck just breaks boards. This deck is arguably as good going second as it is going first. In fact, like, before they started playing Bird Up, when it's just pure Tri-Brigade, Bi-Brigade, I used to actually just blind second against that deck. Not blind, but, like, purposely go second. If I was playing against Virtual World, if they were on the Dragoon build and not the Kaliga build, blind second. I'll blind second against that deck. Even sometimes playing against Drytron, I've play tested. I remember I was playing testing with Deception. He was on his Imperial Order build, and I was blind second against him. And then I learned a funny interaction where against the Drytron build that searches Imperial Order, Super Poly and Squamata outs that board. I set Squamata, Super Poly him, go Construct, Squamata, and then I dump Dragon and another Shaddoll monster. I out the Herald, and I chain block my Dragon to target the only set they have, Imperial Order, pop it. And I literally just outed Herald and Imperial Order. with Shaddolls. Just so, like, this deck's just crazy. Like, y'all just don't know, bro. Like, I feel like all the people that play this deck are just playing not even really the Shaddoll deck. Like, they're just playing Fusion and 2 targets. And they're missing out on all the interactions that get them out of sticky situations that I have. Like, I have access to all those. They can't set up double window. That's the thing. Like, when you're playing the list that other people play, they can't set up double window Kaligo with follow-up. They can't do that. You know why? Because you have to play at least the Shaddoll trap card, and you've got to play El Shaddoll Fusion to be able to do it. Because it's not smart to ever summon Window on your first turn. You don't want to end on her. You want to always summon her on your opponent's turn. That's what makes Window more impactful. These are just my opinions, though. But I personally feel like my list, I just like my list. I don't like other people's lists. I really don't. So these are all my starter cards right here. So 3 Prosperity, 3 Meltdown, Terraforming, Set Rotation for the Goo, 3 Nadir, 3 Alistair, 3 Ecclesia, 3 Shaddoll Fusion, 3 L, 2 Invocation. Fusion spells are starters in this deck. You literally just break boards with Fusion spells and Shaddoll sometimes. There's hands where I haven't drawn any Invoked or Dogmatika cards and I still broke the board. The Shaddolls are the best cards in the deck. They really are. They're the cards that let you beat cards like Droll and Lancia consistently. I mean consistently. They let you play through Veilers and Imperms. And they allow you to navigate established boards. And at the end of the day, just the Shaddoll engine is going to last you throughout longer grind games. And it's going to allow you, honestly, the Shaddolls, like, this deck already has, like, a good matchup against, like, Eldritch. And it outs Enforcer because of the Invoke cards and Aerial. But it's the fact that, like, Shaddolls make your trap matchups so free. Shaddolls just grind through back rows systematically. It's so good. Looping Dragon, looping Aerial. I mean, this deck's just broken. You guys, if you didn't tell, like, if you can't tell, I love this deck. I think this is one of the best decks you could ever play. It's so skillful. If you're not playing the Shaddoll cards, I feel like it's not really that skillful. And I don't see anybody that's going to disagree with me because Invoke Dogmatika is a very straightforward, simple, mid-range deck. It's a good control deck. It's so good. There's nothing wrong with it. But it's just not really, there's not a lot you have to think about. You're either going to open Invoke Dogmatika and play Alistair and then go Nadir or Ecclesia, or you're not. But the Shaddoll cards just open the doors to so many avenues that you can exploit and give you interactions that can get you out of sticky situations that these cards cannot do. These cards inherently let you play through the stuff that these cards cannot, if that makes sense. It's just crazy. And your whole deck is a walking out to Dragoon and DPE, so neither one of those cards really matter. These are all the starters. So another thing with the starters that I'm going to drop is like the final 2 starters is Foolish Burial, because I just look at Foolish Burial as a starter in my opinion. Whether you draw Invo or if you just need a doll to access or you just need to dump a Windy for more simplified game states, Foolish Burial to me is a starter. And it's a pseudo flex because Foolish Burial can do so many different things. Even like if I play against Drytrons and I like just Dark Ruler, if I Foolish Aerial, it's crazy. Like I can like go activate something to bait orange like Foolish Aerial. Like that's the thing that I really always enjoy about the Drytron match is like you can not break their board but just banish their Drytron names and they're not doing anything next turn unless they had names in their hand. It's just crazy. But Foolish Burial has the utility of being like an MST, an Upstart Goblin, an Emergency Teleport, a triple DD Crow. The card's just insane. It can just access dolls so that you can fuel your fusion plays. It's just so good. Maximus is another starter that I started playing, so you guys are going to see some changes to my extra deck, because I decided to play Maximus because the theory behind it was I wanted my Alistair Ecclesia hands to be able to access my doll engine and to play through hand traps better. So every time Alistair got hand trapped and I was able to summon Ecclesia, I was ending on punishment and passing. And I felt every time I was like, dang, not every time, I started thinking to myself, dang, if I was just not playing the Magistus Link and I was playing Almirage and Secure Gardener, I could have searched Maximus and got Shaddoll Schism and Flare Release instead of getting Punishment Pass. So it allows me to have a high volume and like a more impactful interaction through hand traps on Alistair and still end on both of my engines versus Punishment, which could access either or engine, but it will still be in a slower form. And it's only 1 disruption as opposed to 2 disruptions that are, in my opinion, just higher quality. So just by playing Maximus, that interaction is just a super big deal for me. And it also means that my Ecclesias can get me out of the early game even faster. So like anytime I have Food and Grave, I can just use Ecclesia to access my Shaddoll. So it means now Ecclesia has always been able to access the doll engine just in a slower way because of punishment. You have to wait. But now Ecclesia allows me to access my Shaddoll engine immediately the same turn. It also helps breaking boards even better. And even when people are playing targets for Maximus, I don't care about Elder, and I don't care that they're summoning Makaba. I do not care. It doesn't hurt this deck the way it hurts other decks, so you really don't. The only time I care about resolving Maximus is against another deck that plays Shaddoll cards. I don't care if they have Titaniclad in their extra deck. I don't care if they have Arclight, Elder, or Nova. The only time I will not resolve Maximus is if my opponent is playing Shaddoll cards, because I refuse to give somebody those kind of cards. You want to free negate, you want to pop, do it, bro. I'm still going to wax you every time. So I really don't, I'm not scared of like Merry Christmas on Maximus at all. For the rest of my deck, I'm going to leave the Shaddoll cards here because, again, they literally are the best cards in the entire deck. And they're my favorite cards in the deck. I'm going to leave them here because I'm going to talk about my Shaddoll lineup, because a lot of people aren't going to like me because I play actually Shaddolls, like in my deck. So I'm not playing 1 Aerial, 1 Dragon, 3 Fusion. Let me check. Okay, I'm playing 2 Squamata, 2 Windy. These are the best Shaddolls. Squamata is the absolute, single-handedly the best Shaddoll monster in the main deck that you can play. He has the exact same utility as Construct, and when you summon Construct with Squamata, it allows you to play through hand traps like Effect Veiler and Imperm even better, because if they hit the Construct, whatever Construct would have gave you, Squamata can give you it. I also like setting up Squamata whenever I have El Shaddoll Fusion interactions, because setting up for Squamata is better than searching any other dog, because Squamata can access those cards. So it makes sure that you don't make the incorrect choice without the information of the matchup. Like, if you know you're playing Drytrons, you can just search Aerial, but when you don't know what you're playing, it's better to have Squamata as a fusion material than it is to have any other Shaddoll, because whatever situation would occur, you can dump your Dragon, you can dump your Arrow, you can dump Falco, you can dump Windy, tutor out Beast. You can even just dump Shaddoll Fusion to apply pressure on your opponent to force them to say, okay, I need to either kill this guy or I have to get rid of his fusion monsters without sending him to the grave so that he cannot get access to this card, which is a really big deal. So I do a lot of things with Squamata. Windy is the only reason why I set up double Winda plus Kaliga, because I summon Hedgehog, flip him off the trap, search Schism, link Construct off, add El Shaddoll Fusion back from my grave. So in the hands that do that are Alistair, El Shaddoll Fusion, plus either Squamata or Windy. That's the 3-card combo that gets you the God board that doesn't lose to Dark Ruler droplets. And then we have 1 Beast, 1 Hedgehog, 1 Falco, 1 Aerial, 1 Dragon. These cards, this utility right here, like this gives me the toolbox that I need. This lets me outgrind all of these decks. This allows me to play through the disruptions, navigate established boards, and set up just like a chunk block. Like, there's been times when I just couldn't get OTK because I'm literally just like Windy into Falco, Falco into Aerial, Aerial into a banished Op Cologne, or vice versa. Falco into an Op Cologne from grave, and then Op Cologne can't die. And I'll even use Windy on my opponent's turn to summon Hedgehog, and use the Squamata to dump the Shaddoll Fusion. So now I'm telling my opponent, like, okay, you need to kill Hedgehog, not by battle, by card effect. And then when you kill my Shaddoll monsters, they can't touch the graveyard. That's like the amount of pressure that you can put onto your... Like, I could talk all day about this. I think that this is like literally one of the best archetypes, and Shadolls just have all of the utility. Like, they have everything. Their toolbox is incredible. It's just, this diversity right here is why this deck can thrive in every and any situation. Like, they truly just have an answer to like all of these sticky situations where you're like, dang, I really wish I had an out. Shadolls to me feels like your main deck is like a side deck, being that a lot of stuff that people have to side deck to deal with cards, Shadolls don't have to side deck to deal with those cards. Like, El Shaddoll Fusion outs. It's an out to Imperial Order, the Anti-Spell, the Sanctum, you know, Scythe, Retaliating Seed. It's an out to all these cards. It trades extremely well with cards like Imperm, Effect Veiler, Fog Blades in the Phantom Knight matchup. The card's just so, like, El Shaddoll Fusion, I will preach on it. Like, it's just too good. The only going second cards that are not engine that I play are Droplets, Talents, and Mystic Mine. Mystic Mine is very MVP, but it's also part of my set rotation spice. I'm playing Secret Village. When I open boards with Secret Village, my opponent just can't do anything. If you guys think this card's bad, then Imperial Order must suck, because this card's literally my version of Imperial Order, except my spells can still activate. So this card's just gross. Like, I put up boards that already say you can't play, and then I put up Secret Village, and I'm like, you can't Dark Ruler or Droplets me, you can't Forbidden Chalice, none of that. No Cosmic Cyclones, no Lightning Storms, nope. And if you're playing a deck that has power spells, no talents, you know, no prosperities, no desires, none of that. Consistency cards, dead. Auto win. It's just so good. Mystic Mine, obviously, is just broke. 1 Flare de Lis, and then the only 3 traps I play are 1 Punishment, 1 Resh, 1 Schism. I really do pity the people that cut Resh. I mean, what I'll do, even if I don't combo with Resh, is I'll summon a card like Squamata or Dragon and dump Resh in my grave, so I'll have another disruption. Because the Shaddoll monster's face is down, they can Dark Ruler drop this to my board, and I'll just use the trap, flip Squamata or Dragon, and it turns to a spot removal on my opponent's turn. This deck's just so crazy. Like, this deck is just so skillful. It's really, really good. I just feel like these people just don't know how to play Shaddolls. Like, I just every time I see somebody playing this deck, I just get disappointed, because at the end of the day, the way I see it, it's like they're not even really playing Shaddolls. They're just playing like a Schism package. And I've heard a lot of people say they're taking the best that the deck has to offer without playing the bricks. That is not true at all, sir. The best cards that the Shaddolls have to offer are actually their main deck cards. Like, the most utility comes from their main deck cards. In fact, a majority of their extra deck cards access the cards in the main deck. How does that even make sense? Yes, the fusion monsters are incredibly good. Winda's just an absurdly powerful card. Opcolon and Construct are incredible. But you know what makes these cards even more powerful? Like, what really is how, like, just the facet of how powerful these cards are is the cards they allow you to access. The ability to just float and grind and maneuver and navigate through established boards. The best cards, in my opinion, are the cards in the main deck. The Shaddoll monsters, the cards that you use to make these. The spells, the traps, the monsters. Those are the good stuff. Like, at the end of the day, people are just trying to summon Winda, and you can't call your deck a Shaddoll deck if you're just summoning Winda. Like, you have to really know how to play this deck, because this deck is, I can only compare it, Striker's the only deck I can compare it to right now that's tier 1. It's just like Strikers. It just, there's like, it really doesn't have like, it has like one bad matchup. Any deck that plays D-Shifter, that's it. Like, the deck's just built to thrive. It's crazy. You out all the stuff that other decks, like even Strikers, would struggle with, like anti-spell, you know, Imperial Order, things of that nature. The fact that Shaddolls just can do that, it's just, I just think it's crazy. And the same way Strikers can out-herald with Engine, Shaddolls can out-herald with Engine, even without droplets or Super Poly. El Shaddoll Fusion is the only reason why you can break that board with pure Engine, because you can chain El Shaddoll Fusion when they're attempting to gain fairies off Evo. That means you're catching them without negates, unless they had another one, but it's the fact that you can do that. So I'm just playing 2 of each. All these cards put in work. I think MVP today was definitely Opcolon. Card's just absurd. Somebody was telling me I should play Destroy Phoenix Enforcer in my deck, and he said it's better than my Shaddolls. I literally permanently negated a Phoenix Enforcer with Opcolon, sent it off Schism, bye-bye. Like, these cards are just, one Makaba, one Aguadis, one Kaliga. These are the only Invoke monsters I'm playing now. I was playing Raijin, just so that I can have Super Poly, as a card to out the Barrier Statue via Alistair in the Flunder matchup, and the Bird Up deck's playing Avion, but it still helps to be able to Super Poly them with your Alistair, because you can normal Alistair, and even if they negate the effect, you can just Super Poly him into Invoke Raijin, and Invoke Raijin will allow you to bait another disruption. So Alistair Super Poly outs 3 interruptions in the Bird Up matchup. So that's another reason why I really like Raijin, and that's what I'm saying, like, this deck, even against the Bird Up boards, it's crazy. Like, you go normal summon Alistair, they go Utopia Draco Future, and that's another thing too. You can just chain in Super Poly the Draco Future away into Makaba, but I like chaining to Super Poly Alistair away with another card that they haven't used, so I can play through the disruption systematically. Because, like, if they go, you know, effect negate with Draco Future, then I want to Super Poly away the Mist Valley Apex Avion, and then summon the Invoked Raijin. And if Ensemble Robin can be targeted, that's the next card that I want to target. So basically, in theory, as long as Ensemble Robin can be targeted, Super Poly Alistair outs 3 of their interruptions. And if they didn't have double Dragon Lords, that's all the interruptions. So there's a really good reason to play Kaliga, but I actually cut it for Starving Venom because I wanted Super Poly to be able to out people's boards that were summoning Destroy Phoenix Enforcer and using him to pop Sight. And even if they pop Verde Anaconda and Enforcer to play around Super Poly, which people don't do because Super Poly is not popular, the deck that does it right now that the only deck that I'm concerned about is Phantom Knights. So even if they out Verde, they'll still have Rusty Bardiche plus Forcer, and you can use your draw phase priority, Super Poly away, Enforcer and Rusty, and they can't even activate Enforcer to pop Scythe. So that's the main reason why I started playing him over the Invoke Liga, so that I don't have to worry about always drawing El Shaddoll Fusion or Nadir Servant to be able to play. One Titanic Lad for the Maximus, Elder, all I need is one, and these are the only links that I'm playing. I started playing Almarash and Secure. If I wasn't playing these, I wouldn't be able to do that interaction that I was talking about with Ecclesia, but I also would have one extra deck space, which could be the Invoke Raijin, but I think these are just worth it. Like, I've thought about Perfect Trio too, but these are just worth it because now Ecclesia with Alistair just does way more than it did before in the past, and I just don't regret it. This list's just better. But God bless you guys. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Stay tuned for future content. Y'all have a wonderful day, and I hope that you enjoyed my profile, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Peace.